you impressed with Fulham in the first half? When you're looking at the squad that they have, I know they lost some players from last season, but overall, how do you see them doing?
I can't see Fulham panicking at all. I think they play some good stuff. I don't think they'll be down at the bottom of the table fighting for their lives. Maybe just above it, but I just think they've got enough in that manager as well and that squad of players.
Yeah.
I agree. I think it's hard to tell because it's the first game of the season and you're away from home, but I think they have people with goals. I think Muniz has had a great end of the season last season. You've got the likes of Emile Smith-Rowe that's coming into the team. So with a few more games, I think Fulham can really prove an attacking threat going forward.
Yeah, do you feel Smith-Rowe has a point to prove, having come from Arsenal as well?
Yeah, because I think he wants that run of games and I think he's going to be able to get that at Fulham, and I think you've got players around him that he can link up and show what his strengths are.
Okay. Well, with points deductions and off-the-field turmoil last season, was one to forget for Everton, but they still managed to stay up and they begin this season at home to Brighton, and Betty Glover is there.
Hey Alex, welcome to Goodison Park, Everton's home for one last season. Now joining me here in a very sunny Goodison Park, by the way, is Joe Thomas, Everton correspondent for the Liverpool Echo. Joe, thanks so much for joining us. Talk to us about the expectations for this season, because last season there was a lot of ups and downs, weren't there? Will fans be a little bit more confident?
Confident, yes. I think there's a degree of hope and a degree of positivity about Everton this season. Look, last few seasons have been so difficult for so many reasons, some of them unprecedented. But this is a club and certainly a fan base that deals with adversity very well. There's a hope that the club can come through some of those harder periods now and can really start to focus on what's going on this wonderful pitch in front of us, this incredible stadium, rather than have the attention on what's going on in boardrooms and legal chambers up and down the country.
Yeah, indeed. Well, talking about the points deductions, it took loads of headlines last season, but also the ownership of the club. A lot of people are talking about that. Can you tell us what the latest is?
So Farhad Moshiri has spent more than 2 years now trying to find either significant investment or a new owner for Everton Football Club. Those efforts are taken him through a number of failed bids so far. The most recent to collapse did so last month. That was met with a real sense of deflation and I think exhaustion as well. There was a sense of a belief that the Freaking Group provided a credible route to stability that this club craves. That wasn't to be. Now the new front runner is John Textor, an American businessman. We know he's interested in Everton. We know he's in dialogue with Mr. Moshiri, but we also know that he owns around 45% of Crystal Palace. Now he is trying to sell those shares, but unless and until he can, no matter how formal or constructive or productive those talks with Mr. Moshiri are, there's obviously only so much progress that can be made.
Let's talk about today then. First up, Everton have got to play Brighton, who are buoyed by a new, very young manager. So what do you think is going to happen today? Are you confident Everton can get off to a good start?
Everton have had a really good summer, and I think they start this season with a squad that's better than last season's. But this is a tricky opponent, and Everton have a couple of big players out injured at the moment. Having said that, Everton under Sean Dyche should say some of their best performances for this opponent, and there's going to be absolutely no shortage of inspiration from the stands around them today.
Well, that is very true. Just very quickly, what's your prediction?
2-1 to Everton.
Oh, confident. What do you guys in the studio think of that?
Well, Betty, thank you very much. Enjoy the sunshine. And Betty's asked the question. Dion?
Fancy Everton.
Do you?
Yeah, fancy Everton by a goal.
Yeah.
I'm going Brighton.
You're going Brighton. Okay, we'll come back onto Brighton. Let's start with Everton and Sean Dyche, because you played with him, Dion. Do you actually think he gets enough credit for what he did actually with that Everton team last season?
Possibly not, because I think he's unfashionable to the footballing world. You know, his voice, his look, the way he is. He's very straight and honest and open. I like him. He was my captain at Millwall for a few games, and I think, again, from players that I know that live in Cheshire, they love the way he trains. They like that he's pretty straightforward. If you're not playing, I'll tell you why. And you know what? This is how far I'll go. I'd have him in the hat for the England job.
Really?
100%.
Throwing him in the hat?
100%.
Well, I suppose because when you think about Sean Dyche and how his team's set up, if you actually look at the stats, Steph, yes, they didn't score many goals, but defensively, I think only the top 3 were above them in what they conceded. So you know what you're going to get.
Yeah, it's a great structure to go off. I think when you're defensively solid, you've got the likes of Pickford, who had a great season last season. You've got Branthwaite, that was in the running to go away with England in the Euros. You've got Tarkowski, that was leading them from the back as well. So I think for me, you have to have that solid base where they can build on. I think with Everton, it's now what can they do this season? Can they be able to be defensively sound, but be able to be open enough to go and score the goals that they need? And that's always been Everton's problem. But I think kind of what Dion said, I think he has done a fantastic job with everything that's going on around away from the pitch.
Yeah, and controlling those controllables, which they can't in terms of the ownership stuff going on around them. But Sean Dyche has said that actually going into this season, there's a lot of positives and it feels calm. Do you see that,
which a lot of it's down to him. You know, the calmness off the pitch, he can't deal with that, as we've just said. But anything around the training ground, he's in charge of. He's the man, and he has to sort of let the players know that, listen, just go with me. Let's do this together. We've got enough quality. Forget about what's going on behind the scenes. Let's make it right on the pitch. And if it's right on the pitch, it'll be right off the pitch.
Okay, Steph, so you went with Brighton. So here's your chance to tell us why, in terms of their new manager coming in, how they're going to set up. What makes you think that they're going to do? 31.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of inside information. Won't say who I've been speaking to, but I think...
okay.
But in terms of the manager, obviously, he's a young manager, but I think the way that he's come in this pre-season and kind of identified what principles he wants Brighton to play, he wants them to be high press and he wants them to be creative. And I think with the players that they've got, the likes of João Pedro, I think he's getting older, he's getting more experience in this league, and he can prove a little bit of a threat towards Everton, especially today. And they've got that little bit of experience as well. So I feel as though, just in general, I think that a new manager coming in, something new, to try something different, but also the quality of players that they have.
Do you think he can lean on the experience of those veteran players like James Milner?
Yeah, I think for me, I think you have to. I think you would be stupid enough not to lean on someone like James. I think to have that many appearances in the Premier League, second top appearance maker, I think you have to lean on that, especially when you're coming to a new league themselves. But I think for me, I think personally as a player, when a new manager comes in, you have to have the respect of him no matter what age they are.
Okay, well, from a young manager to a veteran of a programme right now, because Football Focus is 50 this year, and that's older than me and Steph and, well, just me and Steph. Sorry, Dion. Every week we're going to dive into the archives, and the first one is a corker from 1992 with some familiar faces.